What's up everybody? In this video I'm going to talk to you guys about inner join. So inner join is our first join and we will use this inner join for starting our joins with so easy way. Okay, this inner join kind of like I can say that this inner join is the simplest joins among them all. So in the previous lecture, for the last two lectures, we saw what is the primary key and what is the foreign key. And we also learned what is the difference between primary key and the foreign key. And I said foreign key is the connection between two different tables. And I said our foreign key is in the student table, and that is why student table is called child table, and the teacher table is called parent table or the master table or the primary table. Okay. And we said this our foreign key in the student table. Let me show you. Teacher underscore ID is my foreign key. I wrote this here. You can see teacher ID. This is my foreign key. And the foreign key of the child table must reference the ID, or let's say primary key of the primary table, because the ID is the primary key. And let's come here, where was it? Yes, my teacher underscore ID points this, let's close this. My teacher underscore ID points this ID, and teacher underscore ID is the foreign key, and this ID that coming from this teacher table, this is the primary key. Okay guys, let's get started. Let me explain what is the inner join is. Okay, you can see here, actually I wrote here a inner join sample, but do not worry, I will write this from the scratch, but now I want to show you guys. You can see here the student ID is 1, and this is Mary, and the name of the Mary's teacher is Richard. You can see here Mary's teacher is Richard, and the ID of this Richard is 1. And let's come, this is my student ID 3, and this is Jim. Jim's teacher is also Richard, and this is his ID. And this is Laura, and this is Laura's teacher. And the ID, Stefan's ID is 2. Let's come to this teacher table. You can see Stefan's ID is 2 and Richard's ID is 1. And let me choose this student. You can see here, actually Mary's teacher is 1. I mean Mary's teacher is Richard, and also Laura's teacher is Stefan, and the Jim's teacher is also Richard. And here I said actually the same thing. And how I can get this, table, I can get this table using inner join. And the inner join means, let me draw this. Inner join means this is my table student. Okay, I will write here, this is my table student, and that this is my table teacher. Okay, table teacher. And the inner join means the common places between students and the teacher. Okay, we can call this shareholder place. And when you get this, let's say this is my table A and this is my table B. Okay, and this is the place that I can get, and I mean the common places between these two tables. That is why I can get this. For example, I wrote here student.studentID, student.name. For example, I can remove this student ID, and I can, let's also remove this. When I click run, I will get like this. Name Mary, and the name is Richard. And I want to get this teacher name as a, let's come here, as teacher underscore name. Okay, let's run this SQL. You can see teacher name is Richard. This is the Mary's teacher, and this is Jim's teacher, and this is Laura's teacher. Okay, and you can see I also get this IDs here, and I will say teacher ID as teacher underscore ID, and I want also get this student ID again. I will say student.id as student underscore ID. Okay, and I should write my semicolon here. Okay, actually student.id. I don't have any student.id. I have student underscore ID. Okay, let's run again. You can say student ID is 1 and it is Mary, and the teacher name is Richard, and etc, etc. So let me write this inner join for you from the scratch. Okay guys, let's close this. Let's close also. Now our inner join lesson starts. Until here we just saw the samples, and now we will learn what is inner join. Okay, for writing inner join, we should write first of all our two tables. One table is the table that has foreign key, and the one table, the table that has a primary key. And our primary key table is the primary table, and it is teacher, and our foreign key table, it is the child table, and it is student. I will say, let's close this. Also, I will close, let's not to close this. I will come here and I will say here like this: select asterisk from, let's write student. Okay, and I should give a name here. I want to do our join. For example, I want to write here inner join. I should write here inner join. I want to write here, for example, another thing I can write. But I want to write for an inner join. I will write inner and the join. Okay, actually I said get all the columns from the student and do inner join. Okay, and do inner join, and we should write the table name we want to do with the inner join. I will say teacher. Okay, I said I want to inner join with student and the teacher. Okay, and you should write here the on keyword. Okay, after this on keyword, you should write your primary key and your foreign key. I will say student dot teacher underscore ID because teacher underscore ID is my foreign key. Let me explain this to you. Let's come here, and you can see this teacher underscore ID is in the student table, and this is foreign key. You can see from here, this is the foreign key. And I said after this on keyword, you should write your foreign key, and I will say that where, actually this is the kind of like of where, this on is the kind of like of where. Student.teacher ID equal teacher.id. So actually I said here like this. Let me draw again. I said here where, this is a kind of like a where. I said where primary key, not primary key, let me write like this. I will say where foreign key equal primary key. Okay, because teacher underscore ID is my foreign key, I will say foreign and that key, and the teacher dot ID, it is the ID column that coming from teacher table, and this is, let's write like this. This is my primary dot key. Okay, let me show you one more thing. Why I wrote here teacher dot ID. I can wrote the, actually we've seen this before, but we've never used this like this. For example, let me come here, let me create new SQL. I want to explain this teacher.id to you. I will say select, so I will write select, I will say teacher.id from teacher. Guys, if you run this SQL, you should get only ID, because you said I want to get teacher.id. For example, if you say I want to get teacher.name, if you run this SQL, you will get also only name. And this is the same thing. Let's come here. This is the same thing I wrote here. When I said teacher.id, that means I want to get ID column from the teacher table. And here I said I want to get teacher underscore ID from the student table. Okay, when you run this SQL, you will see this student ID is this. Okay, Mary, Jim, Laura, and the Mary's teacher ID is 1, Jim's teacher ID is also 1, and Laura's teacher ID is 2. Okay, and here your teacher ID is the one. You can say this teacher underscore ID and the ID are equal because you said where actually you write here on student.teacher ID equal teacher ID. Okay, teacher.id. And you can get this, but I don't want to get, you can see here, actually I got here 3 different IDs, but I don't want to get this. Why I saw this? Because I wrote here asterisk. I can remove this asterisk and I can write like this. I want to get student underscore ID and student dot name and teacher dot ID and teacher dot name. Okay, when you run this SQL, you will see like this. Student ID is 1. And I want to get this ID as a, let's write here, as teacher underscore ID. And I want to get this name as teacher underscore name. And I also can get this name as student underscore name. Okay, I know guys, this is so complicated code, but do not worry, I will explain this. You can see student underscore ID is Mary, student underscore name is Mary, and teacher underscore ID is 1, and the teacher's name is Richard. Okay, this is that's what is called inner join. So for making beautiful this code, you can click Ctrl and B. You can see after clicking Ctrl and B, your code actually is the more readable. Let me make this a little bit. Okay guys, you can see here I said select, this is my select clause, and I said select student.student ID. Okay, this is my first thing. You can see here student.student underscore ID. I said and this comma means and student.name, and get this student.name as a student underscore name. Okay, we've seen this as operator before. And I said also get teacher.id as a teacher ID and get this teacher.name as a teacher underscore name. Okay, and I said from student, get this from the student and the inner join, okay, inner join with teacher. Actually, kind of like of here I have with keyword, but you don't know, you don't see this. Inner join with teacher, where or the on. You can write, you cannot write here where, by the way. I just saying this because explaining this to you. Okay, I said teacher on student.teacher ID equal teacher.id. Why I can write this here? Why, for example, I cannot write here the name? If I run this SQL, you can see actually I have a problem here because this name, data type of this name is the varchar. Data type of this teacher underscore ID is the integer. And what we said about the foreign key, we said if you want to create a foreign key, your primary key and foreign key must have the same data type. Okay, that is why you should write here ID. You cannot write another thing. For example, you cannot write here student.id. Okay, actually I don't have any student.id, I have student.student underscore ID. If you run this SQL, you will get the result, but this is not the result that I want to get because I just get here Mary and Laura, but I didn't get here this Jim. Okay, that is why I didn't want to write this. I should write here the actually teacher underscore ID. When I write like this, I should get the real result. Okay guys, this was our inner join. I hope it is understandable for you. And I want to show you one more picture for explaining this inner join, and after this I will finish this lesson. Okay guys, you can see this is the table, this is the picture of inner join. Let me choose this drawing thing and I will choose this. You can see here, this is actually the common place between these two tables. And this is the inner join. And you can use inner join like this. Select column name. For example, in our situation, this column name is, let's choose this. In our situation, the column name can be student.name and can be ID from the teacher and can be, let's say, teacher ID. Teacher underscore ID. Okay, and from the table A, and this table A actually is my student table, and table B is my teacher table. Okay, and the inner join table B, actually I said here you can see that there is kind of like of with keyword, inner join with the table B, and this is the teacher, on table A dot column name equal to table B dot column name.